What's up, fantasy champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now, with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network. Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit, simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost an arm and a leg.
What is up, everyone? What is up? I'm a little lag, but I don't really care right now. But we're here with another week preview of the game, which is a very, very interesting game. I don't care if I take this green screen off. I don't care, so I could be up to par with everyone. But my name is Darian of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, home of the Spotlight Sports Network, and we do have Mr. Raider J77. What's going on, my guy? What's up, man?
What's up, man? What's going on, man? I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Not gonna, get into too much about how I'm feeling, because we are, trying to, not talk about certain things on these shows. So, but I'm feeling pretty good, man. I can't complain too much. Some interesting stuff going down in where I live, particularly with the COVID-19 restrictions and stuff. So that kind of sucks. We're going to have to apparently they're going to tighten restrictions for the next couple of weeks. And if things don't change because our numbers are going up, then they're going to talk about shutting it down again. So that kind of sucks. But other than that, man, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about, how things are going to be going, especially going into 2021.
And I just want to let everyone know, that we are on Snake Sports Talk Show as of right now, due to the fact that Snake Sports Talk Show will be on here in a couple minutes. We gave him to, a half hour so we could talk a little bit about our Raider news, and then we have him on because he is a LA Chargers fan, and we will have him on right when we have it, man. So we have him on and we'll talk some matchups. But before we get into anything, I'm going to shout out the chat real quick. Shout out to Colton Henry, Evelyn Vaughn, Fierce Raider 88. Vince say what's going on, man. B. Al, John Q, Malo 213, Dynasty, aka Dynasty, Iverson Vlogs. What is going on, everybody? Just to let y'all know again that we are live on 4 Facebooks tonight. 4 Facebooks, which is Spotlight Raiders Talk, Spotlight Football Talk, Snake Sports Talk, and My City, My Game. Same thing for YouTube as well. So we're actually live on 8 destinations right now. 8 destinations for this big game, because this is a big game going in. So let's get into some news before we really get into the matchup, because we is going to have Jake on here sooner or later. But I really want to get into the first actual thing, which is the Raiders being fined $500,000 for COVID-19 violations for not wearing a mask, from the Darren Waller's benefit party to Trent Brown. I said this on Thursday Night Football last night. We need to hold this team accountable. Gruden started it with not wearing a mask. That's one. Number 2, when y'all went to Darius Waller's benefit, number 1, Darius Waller's benefit was over the capacity that Vegas wanted people inside buildings. That's 1. Number 2, half of the team did not have a mask on at that benefit. That's 2. Number 3, the Trent Brown situation with him getting the COVID-19 the first time and getting it a second time. Not really getting it a second time, but the IV situation. I feel like our team need to be held accountable. Yes, I did see other teams get fined, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got fined, but they got fined because of the fact that they only did it one time. This was 3 incidents in the month of October for the Raiders. He got fined before. You know what I'm saying? So Just wear the mask, bro. Just wear the mask. That's just me. People keep saying, oh, the NFL is picking on the Raiders. If you just follow the COVID-19 violations, they wouldn't pick on us. That's just my opinion on it. How you feel about it, Jay?
I mean, I agree with you to the point of fines. Where I disagree is taking away a draft pick. I feel like that leaves an opportunity for malicious behavior by the NFL. And it's just not, these teams, if they don't follow the protocol, it's bad enough on the team itself, but to further add insult to injury and take away a future draft pick, that changes the game a lot. You know what I mean? Like that changes an organization a lot. That draft pick could be, one of their next, franchise players. You just never know. Even though it's a 6th round pick, you just never really know. I mean, there's, what was Aaron Rodgers picked in the 6th round? I mean, come on, it
was Tom Brady, not Aaron Rodgers.
Or Tom Brady, excuse me. Thank you. It can definitely change the franchise for the long term. A fine won't. It's bad enough that they got to pay that money out, and that that obviously that takes away from cash up front for signing free agents and making trades and doing deals and that sort of stuff. But to take a draft pick away after the team has already had to suffer, specifically, the fellow players had to suffer. I just think it's, I think it's silly. And then I also think that, like, what do they expect the organization to do? You can't follow Trent Brown around. You can't follow, you can't go, you follow, and expect that at this charity event that the players are going to adhere to the policies and stuff like that. I mean, there's not a lot that these are grown men still, they're not children. You're not running a peewee football team. There's only so much that the organization can do. So to an extent, I understand, if the players don't fall in line, finding the team, finding individual players for breaking the COVID-19, policies, but don't punish the organization as a whole that far, that possibly that much into the future, and also future members of the team as well who haven't even been drafted yet. It's just not. I don't feel like it is. I don't feel like the punishment fits the crime, in my opinion. But
I think it does, because I feel as though if John Gruden just would have wore the mask and then what happened at the benefit and the Trent Brown situation, that's 3 incidents in 1 month. After you got fined the first time by John Gruden, that John Gruden didn't wear the mask. The players should have knowing that we are in a pandemic. You still should have to wear a mask. You still have to wear that regardless. Mm-hmm. Like, you knew after what happened of Gruden getting fined the first time. You got to think about it. He got fined the first time. And then right after that, here comes the Darren Waller charity event. That's like not even I think it was like a week after it was the charity event. And the NFL was like, y'all doing this back to back to back. Y'all seen y'all coach do it and got fined. As grown men, you have to think, like, listen, no matter where I go, even if I'm not in a facility or not, I still have to wear a mask. That's just something that, as a grown man, you have to think about. We living in a world that we have to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. And then when Trent Brown getting COVID-19 and making other players around him possibly not playing, hurting us to a point where we barely almost didn't have our offensive line for 1 week. And then not having Jonathan Abram had to sit out because of Trent Brown. We lost that draft pick because of those 3 incidents. And I feel like we need to be held accountable as a team, not just the full organization, but as a team. If you're a grown man and you come into work and you have to wear a mask, wear the mask. How hard can it be?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and I totally agree with you. I don't disagree with them being punished. I just disagree with just that one part, which is that draft pick, because of the possible ramifications for a long time. It's not just now. but for a long time that can have huge ramifications, especially with, you know, somebody who is as good as a draft picker as our GM is. You know, it's like I said, it's a huge, long-lasting punishment that I don't feel like any team should have their picks taken away for something like that.
My question to the Raider Nation. Now, if Mike Mayock would have punished those players like a Derek Carr and those starters at the benefit for not wearing a mask and suspend them from one game for not wearing the mask, would you be mad at that? Or the draft pick?
I would much prefer them actually punish the players as opposed to, you know, because like I said, I feel like a pick, it goes beyond, you know, the person's responsible for the violation. It goes far beyond that.
I just feel like we like disagree on that. I just feel as though that at some point that the players got to be held accountable. The organization has to be held accountable for three. I understand if the incidents were spread it out, like we did one in September, we did one in October, we did one in December. That would have been more of an extreme. But 3 times in 1 month where we already been warned about wearing the mask and about doing, we already been warned 3 times within a month. I think the NFL had to crack down on it. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, when it comes to a 6th-round draft pick, when it comes to me, when it comes to the Raiders organization, a lot of 6th-round draft picks don't last in a Raiders organization.
Right.
So a 6th-round draft pick really doesn't mean anything to me, but everybody said, oh, because of Tom Brady and other people, you might find value in there. But we are in a league where the first 4 to 5 rounds is where you find your best players. The 6 or 7 rounds are more like practice squad. We really don't see a lot of players lately, not like you saw Antonio Brown or you see a Tom Brady or you see these older guys that's in the league now that was 6th-round picks. We really don't see a lot of 6th-round picks now being successful in the NFL. So, I mean, I think if it really wanted to be extreme, they could have took a 1st-round pick. They could have took a 2nd-round pick. They could have took a 3rd-round pick, where those draft picks is more valuable in a 6th-round pick. Just me.
Yeah, most definitely. And I agree with you. You know, it is not as bad as it could be. But my only thing is that if, you know, not very many 6th-round picks work out. You never really know. A lot of times it's kind of just the luck of the draw and you know, and it's just a gamble. You know, but what about, you know, how you package those? You know, maybe, you know, if you're trying to trade up and, you know, you're trying to trade up in, I don't know, the 3rd round, and you package a later round 3rd and a 6th to be able to get up to a third to that pick that you want, to get the player you want. You know, those, like I said, it's an asset that you don't really know what's going to happen with it. You don't know what the potential of it is. And that, for me, you know, like $500,000, I know what that means. You know what I mean? But nobody really knows what a 6th-round pick means. Nobody really knows what a draft pick is going to mean to this team. And until they get to that point, you know, where they're going to be able to see its value and use it. So, like I said, for me, I just feel like that's just a little bit extreme on the NFL, but it is what it is, and you got to live with it.
And people think that, oh, the Raiders hate the NFL. Yes, they do. They do hate the NFL, but in this instance, right is right and wrong is wrong. Just wear the mask. That's it. Just wear the mask. As a leader of your team, John Gruden wears the mask. Mike Tomlin just got fined for not wearing the mask during the Baltimore Ravens game. He just got fined. So, and that was his first offense. So just imagine if he does it again. They might take a draft pick from him too. It's just not the Raiders getting the back end of this. And then on top of that, you got to think about it, what happens next year. What if we get that 6th-round pick back if the NFL takes it away? What if somebody wants to give us a 6th-round pick? Then what's the talk then? We really didn't lose anything.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, like I said, you don't really know until the time comes. And so, you know, like I said, that's where for me it becomes a problem, because you don't really know what you're costing the team by taking a pick away from them. You just don't.
And that's giving a warning. That's giving a warning to the NFL. If you're going to keep violating these violations, they're going to take picks from you. So this is telling the entire NFL, y'all need to wake up, because at the end of the day, if the Raiders can't get away with it, other teams are not going to get away with it. they really cracking down on these violations. So to the NFL, you see what they just did to the Raiders. Just wear the mask. Just do what you have to do. That's all we really got to say about that.
Exactly. It all can be avoided, just like penalties, most of the time.
They find King Savage. They find the NFL because John Gruden was not wearing a mask again. The charity event at Darren Waller's charity event where they didn't wear a mask there, and it was over capacity, and what happened with Trent Brown. So it was 3 incidents in 1 month. So we're going to get into that. We had our differences on it. We're going to keep it there. I'm not going to keep it long on there. So that's just me. The next thing I do want to get into is the David Irvin status. Now, the David Irvin status, I don't know if y'all saw, according to RaidersWire.com, they're saying that David Irvin is not ready yet to be on the 53-man roster. They say he are a few weeks away from him being 100% ready. I don't know what the issue in the status of David Irvin. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's rust. Do they want him to get up to speed? I really just don't. If they want him to learn the scheme for Paul Gutner, I don't know. But I kind of wish we had him this week against the Chargers. But what's your intake on this about David Irvin? Because I think all of us are highly ready for that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited about it. You know, I've been on it and excited about it since we signed him. I was super ready to see him on the field. It sucks, you know, because I wish he was ready because now, you know, Mo Hurst is out with an ankle injury. So, we definitely could use him at this moment. But I don't feel like there's any reason as of yet to hit the panic button and actually rush him out there too soon. You know, John Gruden was talking about it in his press conference earlier about Chris Smith. You know, they were asking him, you know, because he kind of seems to be bouncing back and forth between the practice squad and the 53-man. So they're asking him, like, what are you seeing? And, you know, he was still pretty confident with Chris Smith to be able to fill in, you know, when guys go down. So I don't think there's reason to hit the panic button right now, but I would definitely want to see him, especially as we get closer and closer to making a playoff push, see him get out there on the field because I really, really do believe he could be a difference maker.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think that he could be a difference maker on the field, and I really wish that we could have him in the upcoming weeks, knowing that we do have 3 back-to-back AFC West matchups coming up. We actually have 2 more after this game on Sunday, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game to look at. It's going to be some tough games that we definitely going to need David Irvin. Colton Miller's status is a game-time decision. We've seen that status come out on Twitter that Colton Miller is a game time decision. Hopefully that he could play because we cannot afford another offensive lineman to go down, especially somebody like Colton Miller. We definitely need Colton Miller to play, and hopefully he is 100%. But right now he is a game time decision. He's not on IR. He's not on anything that as far as keeping him out. But they said that he is a game time decision. How do you feel about that? You know, they decided to make him a game time decision.
You know, it's definitely surprising. John Gruden said in his press conference earlier because he was asked about that as well. And he said, well, you know, to be honest with you, it's kind of a rare thing for me to say, but it's a game time decision for him, you know, because he doesn't really miss much. You know, he's a tough kid, you know, and he loves to play regardless. And he's able to play even banged up. So I would be surprised if he's a no-go. I think that especially being Carr's blind side, that's definitely going to be like, you just really can't go. Like you really can't go. I think that he will be activated and he'll probably play. That doesn't mean he's going to play the whole game. It doesn't mean he's going to play every snap, but I definitely feel like if there's any possible way that they can have him out there, one, he's going to want to be out there because he's tough and he loves to play. And 2, we really need him out there, even if he's not 100%. But obviously they're not going to put him in a position to further hurt himself even worse. You know, so there's a possibility, like I said, he may play, but he might not take as many snaps as he normally does. Or if he plays and, you know, and it gets to a point where he's like, I can't do it, then the trainers and the staff will say, okay, yeah, he's got to come out. So I would be shocked if he doesn't play the whole game.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully that he could play the whole game. Hopefully, so according to the injury report, so the injury report has come out for the Las Vegas Raiders. And for Friday, a lot of people was like limited or did not participate. So as of right now, what I see for the Raiders, that the only people that we have out for this game is so far as Art and Key, and we have, I think it's Art and Key and
Mo Hurst
so far.
Yep.
Jonathan Abram was a full participant at practice. Malik Collins was a full participant at practice. Brian Edwards, that is good too. Brian Edwards is not on the injury reserve list at all. He looked like he's going to play this weekend, so that is good. So he was a full participant in Friday's practice. And we had Jonathan Hankins, not injury related, but he was a full participant in Friday's practice. Who did not participate was what is looking like was it was Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan Hankins didn't fully participate. My bad. Jeff Heath was limited. Rodney Hudson was not injury related, but he did. I think he didn't practice at all either. Josh Jacob knee and illness, but he was limited at Friday's practice too. Gabe Jackson was fully a participant. So we have a few people here, a few people that was limited, but most of the players was like outside of the ones that we named was pretty good. So Sam Young, he was limited at practice. Trayvon Mullen was limited at practice. Arden Key and Colton Miller did not participate. So we have those few names there. So hopefully we get some names back. We missing some key pieces. So and once Jake the Snake comes in, when Jake comes in here, we'll do the Chargers injury report as well. Because they do have a full length of people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows right now that the Raiders did add running back Theo Riddick to the 53-man roster. So this is interesting to me because I love Theo Riddick. And Theo Riddick, he's just as powerful as Devontae Booker. That means you have 5 running backs in technically 5 running backs on the depth chart coming into this game. Darn near, like you have Josh Jacobs, Devontae Booker, Jalen Richard, Theo Riddick, and Alec Ingold. That's 5 that's going to be against the Chargers this week. Now, how they going to rotate, I don't know. But do Theo Riddick can make a good receiving back out the backfield? Yes. But so what's your thoughts on this, bringing him up to the 53-man roster? Do you think he'll be like a special teams type of player, or I really don't know. 5 running backs is a lot.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I feel like I haven't seen – it makes me worried for Jalen Richard because I feel like I haven't seen him a lot since he was having the fumbleitis going on. I've seen him a little bit here and there, but not as much as I would like to see. Haven't seen a lot of him even catching the ball in the backfield or anything like that, which he's really good at. So I'm not 100% sure if this is kind of a sign that says, hey, we're looking to maybe possibly moving Richard and putting Theo Riddick in his spot. And they just want to activate him to get him out there and get him some snaps in live games. Mm-hmm. That makes me worry. It makes me worried for Jalen Richard, honestly, because that's the one knock on him is his ball control. If you can't control the ball, if we can't trust you with the ball, you're not going to get the snaps. And if Theo Riddick can keep the ball safe and still catch the ball out of the backfield and kind of be that, that piece that we need in that aspect of the game, then yeah, I would definitely be worried about Jalen Richard's future and whether or not he's going to end up getting, I don't know where his contract is. I haven't really looked into that too much, but if he's still under contract, possibly, end up being traded in the offseason or for some draft capital.
Absolutely. And I feel like with Theo Riddick, I saw when I used to love him in I loved him when he played at Detroit because he was such a good receiving back. So that's gonna be a good competition between him and Jalen Richard. I am kind of worried about Jalen Richard as well. But I want to give a shout out to Anthony. Shout out to Anthony. Today is his birthday. You're not old, bro. Just welcome to the 30 club. Welcome to the 30 club. I mean, I've been past the 30 club. I'll be 35 in March. I look young for my age, but that's what it is. Does Colton Miller play? As far as Colton Miller, he is a game time decision. And just to let y'all know, y'all, we do have our guest on the show. We do have our guest. He is waiting for us, and we're going to introduce him here. He is a part of the Spotlight Sports Network. I can say that, but he is a rival this week coming into this game. He's a Chargers fan, and that is Jake the Snake Silva from the Snake Sports Talk Show. I'm going to introduce you with your intro, and let's get it. All right, so we're going to bring him on. We're going to bring them on, and we have him here, Mr. Jake the Snake Silva, a.k.a. he's a Chargers fan. Y'all know who he is, man, from the Snake Sports Talk Show. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, fellas? Well, first and foremost, before we start to begin with anything else, I want to say shout out to everybody here up on the chat lines as well, where you guys are watching us here everywhere on My City, My Game with Raider J. Of course, Spotlight Raiders Talk with the one and only Darian Hopkins, the Spotlight Sports Network, the one place that's got you covered on all things sports, and, of course, our good friends at the Snake Sports Talk Show, all of my good fans up over there. Perfect timing to come and bolt up in here. I know a lot of Raider Nation fans. Listen, they're going to give me heat. It doesn't matter, but you know what? I do want to say shout out to Raider Nation, man. I mean, listen, I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas, and this is a perfect opportunity to getting a great pregame up over here. So let's get it going.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this game, man. So we did cover everything, but I did want to go over, like I said, I was going to have you in the chat. I did want to go over your injury report because I don't know if you have it up, but we do have technically you have a lot of people that's questionable and doubtful for this game. You do have a few people. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Casey Hayward, he's questionable. Then you have what's his name? I'm trying to see it.
So I do have the injury report.
Is doubtful as well too.
Yeah, I do have the injury report right here up in front of me. And so basically, there's a couple of questions up over here. What's up with Bosa and Ingram? Are they playing? So I have the injury report in front of us. So one of the biggest hits right now, the two players that are out for Sunday's game is Tromaine Pope, one of the guys who had just got promoted into the 53-man roster out of the practice squad. He is out with a concussion protocol. Similarly for the big-time team sacks leader, Joey Bosa, is also under concussion protocol, so he will be out on Sunday's game. Big-time hit, and it's going to be an absolute game changer for the way that the flow of the defense has been playing over the last couple of weeks. So it is a big-time loss for him. So for both of them being listed as doubtful for the Sunday's game. Now, however, the good news of it is, from what I found out from Chargers Venue and from a lot of places, Trey Turner officially got back into practice this week. And Trey Turner has been out for the last 5-6 weeks. It's been something that has been talked about for the Chargers and how that their interior offensive line has been working since his absence. So great news for Bolt Gang as well, as he was finally up in practice, and we may be able to see him play in Sunday's game. Of course, too, Isaac Raquel, he's listed questionable, but he is going to be ready to go for this week. And Now, Casey Hayward may be a little bit here and there. I'm sure they're probably going to limit him in practice. But the good news of it is hopefully he'll be healthy for Sunday's action as well. So there's been a couple of hits, one of them being Joey Bosa. But however, Melvin Ingram is healthy. He will be starting in Sunday's game. But this is a big time matchup, as we mentioned before. I mean, it's a rivalry game between the two, an old school rivalry that's been going on for a long, long time. But with the amount of players that we have, the nicest thing is there wasn't too many people that were injured on the offensive ends. So as far as how we could look at into Sunday's games, you kind of will expect how both teams are going to trade off offenses as the game flows. So that's good news for the Chargers as well. I think we're going to see a lot more air balls kind of be thrown here in this game. I think it's going to be all out aerial action, and I think it's going to come down to the wire from here.
This is going to be a tough game. Like, even though I'm gonna be real because I'm a real Raiders fan. I'm a real Raiders fan, but I got to be realistic. Justin Herbert doesn't look like the Chargers record the way he's performing.
No.
And now I'm just going to be 100% honest. Justin Herbert is playing. He's playing lights out. He is. He's in the last 4 games. He threw over 300 plus yards. So I got to go over to Jay first before I get to you, Jake. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that our defense will pan up against a Justin Herbert? That is my biggest question. The way that he's been playing since he became a starter, he's been playing very well and still evolving. How do you feel that our defense pans out against these Chargers?
It's definitely going to be a tough go. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Justin Herbert's, he's playing really well. He's got his completion percentage is 64.7 or 67.4. So he's got 15 touchdowns. He can definitely sling the rock. He can definitely play. I think that this is a perfect opportunity for our pass rush to really get it going. We're going to need that, because if we can get pressure on him, if we can make him uncomfortable, him being, green and new to the league, I feel like, that's something that, that we can exploit. Hopefully Damon Arnett is back. If Damon Arnett is back, obviously Jonathan Abram is healthy. He's been practicing. He's not going to be out. If we can have that, even with Mo Hurst not being in there, I feel, we have a pretty, our defense is pretty much ready. I'd be interested to see what adjustments they're going to make, Gruden and Gunther are going to make to the defense, as far as maybe moving Joyner to the safety position, limiting Corey Littleton's job, limiting what he's being required to do, to try to utilize and pull his skill set or pull on his skill set a little bit more. I feel like I said, this is a really, really good opportunity for our defense to bounce back from a struggling, from struggling at the beginning of this season, and really, really kind of sink their teeth into an offense that has a good guy at the helm, but also a new guy who will make rookie decisions if you put the pressure on him and your coverage is really good. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. We just have to kind of see how it goes. But if we're fully healthy, this defense, I definitely feel like can get some stuff going.
And that's what I feel like too. I feel like if we can pull it, it won't be the same thing as against the Browns. And I'm just going to be honest. The weather played a big point in that win with us. It did. It definitely did. And not allowing, and then it's Baker Mayfield on top of that too. We all know how Baker Mayfield, we all how all of us feel about Baker Mayfield when it comes to games, at the end of the day. But I think the biggest factor that we really have on defense is stopping the running game. I think Austin Eckler is not 100%. You do have Jackson over there that's pretty good, but I feel like that's the Chargers' weakness in the offense. I think you have Herbert throw the ball a little bit too much because you really don't have a running game. And just to let you know, we are ranked 11th against the run. So that's pretty good, coming into this game, knowing that y'all really don't have a power back that really could give us some that really could challenge us. So how do you feel about this, Jake, knowing that our defense is ranked 11th in the league in run defense? And, how you feel that, the Chargers can compete against our defense with, Justin Herbert and the company?
So I think honestly, because you do bring up a great point, especially with how the Raiders front line has been playing against the rush. It's very impressive. Absolutely. Just looking at some of these guys up on the front. I mean, Cleveland Farrell has been playing really, really good. And not to mention too, some of the, the defensive upgrades as well that has come in, Corey Littleton and of course, Nick Kwiatkowski as well. But also, I mean, think about it. You're still getting the consistency out of Max Crosby. And I think that's what's going to be the absolute big time game changer. But this is also where I make a point about this, because the Chargers so far, since I have the stats up here for how the season has panned out, this team has already been running 957 total rushing yards for their from both their run game from their running backs. And then not to mention too, don't forget, Justin Herbert is also another guy that loves to utilize his legs as well when he gets the opportunity. So you're going to see a mixture of that. Now, this is kind of something that I do want to point out. And I know this probably might end up bugging people, but the way that I utilized and how I kind of seen this game, there's one game in particular that even if the Chargers run game does not pan out against this ranked 11th rushing defense of the Raiders, the one thing that I think could be an absolute game changer is if the Chargers start to utilize the screen play. And I think that's something because I've seen before when the Raiders had taken on against the New England Patriots, there was times in those screen plays that had kind of thrown off the Raiders' defensive games from there, because if nobody was rushing the football as much, they were still trying to find ways to just utilizing the screen plays and also creating rushes after the catch. So I think we're going to end up expecting something of that, because with utilizing both Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly, I've really loved Josh Kelly and how he's been playing this year. I know he hasn't gotten a whole lot of touches, but I think after last week's performance, you're going to start to see that differently into this game. So everybody's going to get utilized. So, but the other thing that I think is also interesting that I look at is the rushing plays. They've already had 231 rushing plays, and the averages that they have gone through those plays is 4.1 average yards on the rush. So that is something that I think the Chargers really need to make a huge adjustment on. We know with Austin Eckler being out, and he's the complete total package. He can run, he can catch, and he's a guy that is a big-time kryptonite to some defenses that can't stop the yards after catch on screen plays. That's something that we know that Josh Kelly has to be the next guy up to utilizing that role. But absolutely, I mean, this is where I think Justin Herbert, we know he's been throwing the ball an awful lot, but you even got to think about it. The Chargers have a from top to bottom of their roster, they have a really good receiving core. The fact that they use a lot of their guys like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and surprisingly, because I make a player comparison when the Chargers had him, Tyrell Williams, the years ago when they ended up having him as the number 3 receiver, the guy that I think has filled in the role has been Jalen Guyton. I love this kid. This kid stepped up in a huge way, even if you got new developing wide receivers like Joe Reed and KJ Hill. So I'm expecting him to expect him to get involved more as well and find ways to kind of utilize those midfield passes. Even if the rushes do not work for the Chargers, there are still ways to find holes in opposing defenses' schemes that they could take advantage of and push for first downs, and then also not to mention push for scores. But the comparison that I think of that could really help to the Chargers' advantage is how the gameplay was ran when the Raiders took on the Patriots and how the Patriots utilized that. If the Chargers implement that same style offense with their screenplays of the running backs, that could be an absolute game changer in the middle of the situation in the game.
So I just want to let everybody know that me and Raider J did put Snake Sports Talk Show link in the chat. Make sure y'all go in there and subscribe to the Snake Sports Talk Show. He does have his streams on Saturdays and Sundays, and probably he'll be doing a live play-by-play of the Raiders game as well on his channel. Now, I want to piggyback off what you said about the screenplays. Now, I don't think Austin Eguilar is just as good as Rex Burkhead or Sony Michel when they're healthy. That's just my personal opinion when it comes to the screenplay. And you got to think about it in that Patriots game as well. We didn't have Nick Kowalski. Nick Kowalski is good for stopping the screenplay, and we've been saying that for a while now. When he was hurt, it really hurt our linebacker core when it came to the screens. Now we have a linebacker core that have Kowalski at the helm. I think that changes the dynamic of stopping the screens against them. Yeah, you do have a good wide receiving core. And I think the matchup for me, your offense versus our defense, is Trayvon Mullen versus Keenan Allen. And we have to say, last year against Keenan Allen, that he barely had 70 yards on us against y'all. Knowing that, I understand Justin Herbert was not the quarterback last year. Y'all had Phillip Rivers, but at the same time, that was Phillip Rivers' favorite target, even when we played y'all last year. So that's just what I had to piggyback off on. Just to, see just my opinion on it. But Jay, how you feel about what Jake said?
No, I definitely agree. I think that the zone offense is definitely something that the Raiders defense, if they're not on top of their game, they're susceptible to. It's something that I've seen before, and it's like banging my head against the wall, and I'm like, how the 3rd and 13 play, against the Buccaneers, where we're so far back. I mean, like 15. It seemed like 15 yards, off of the line of scrimmage. Right. Stuff like that can't happen. If that happens, then yeah, they're definitely going to be able to do that. Justin Herbert has the ability to be able to make that happen. So we definitely have to make sure that the Raiders defense has to play discipline. And if they don't play discipline, they're definitely going to be, made a fool of. Now, when it comes to Justin Herbert using his legs, that's where we have Jonathan Abram. And I feel like that's going to be something that the Chargers are really going to have to figure out. Like, how do we stop Jonathan Abram, who can fly around the field like a missile, from spying, Justin Herbert and taking his head off every time he tries to take off to use his legs to extend a play. And that's where I feel like this defense specifically is really good, especially if Joyner is back there at that strong or the free safety position. Then Jonathan Abram can really move back and forth into the linebacker to safety position and really utilize him to keep an eye on Justin Herbert, to keep him from making those, getting those big chunk plays with his legs. So it's going to be a battle on both sides, and it can go either way depending on who really shows up, who plays disciplined. But it's a tall order for any offensive player to handle a guy like Jonathan Abram.
Jake, you got anything to piggyback off of, man? Because I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about smack, man.
So I mean, I will tell you this, because I know you mentioned about some past visits and stuff like that between the Raiders and the Chargers, and I absolutely love it. I mean, that's what this rivalry has always been about: the past visits, the grinds, the toughness, and not to mention, look, we admit the Raiders have always been the rebels of the NFL, and they've been the bad boys at any time that when they come into an opposing field, they always are in your face. But here's the thing, though, too, and we know from the past visit where the last time it was with Phillip Rivers. And we know as well, like during the times last year of how horrible that the Chargers ended up at 5-11, Phillip Rivers just did not play like the same quarterback as he was. And that was something that was really starting to change. And that's where the Chargers needed to make that serious decision. I've told a lot of Charger fans that this is something that needed to happen. It needed to, because in order to keep our future intact with where we're going, because the game is shifting faster. I mean, we all know that after watching what the Chiefs had done with getting Patrick Mahomes in the draft, and then not to mention building him to where now he's an MVP, he's a Super Bowl champion. This is kind of something that Kansas City had been building in the making, and it was only a matter of time until he was ready to take the field and be a full-time starter. The Chargers were kind of in the same boat, but at the same time, the game that I think kind of done it where they wanted to cut the strings was that game against Kansas City, where Phillip Rivers, I think, threw for like 5 picks in the game. That was one that just I wanted to gouge my eyes out so bad, and knowing, but at the same time, I had a reservation in the back of my head that they were going to end up being the top 10 picks in this past year's draft, and lucky for it to be Justin Herbert. So this is now where the Raiders are coming into Inglewood. And now we already know that, we got a crap ton of Raider fans all around in the Inglewood area and pretty much in all parts of California. So there's no doubt about that. But
yeah, we're coming to if we have fans if y'all have fans in the stands, we coming to invade. Because we own LA. We own LA right now.
So, but here's the other thing though, too. And this is kind of something that this is the first time meet this season. This is a new Charger offense ran by a new Charger quarterback in Justin Herbert. And I love the fact that of how the future has shaped up for the Chargers at their quarterback. I mean, looking at Justin Herbert and his current stats at 1,800 passing yards with a completion percentage of 76 or 67%. And for the yards per pass attempt has been 8 yards. So he's been a guy that's been utilizing midfield, if not long plays. So, but the one thing that I really do like is his quarterback rating at his rookie season at 104.5. I mean, that's ridiculous. Amongst all these young quarterbacks, I mean, you could think of Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or even Kyler Murray and a lot of these young quarterbacks here in this league. I mean, these are ridiculous numbers. These are numbers that you would have never even thought of. But here's the difference maker. What separates Justin Herbert from where Phillip Rivers was before. This is a guy that is very smart at his passes. This is a kid who's a 4.0 biology major student that he sees the ins and outs when it comes to scanning the field, not to mention utilizing all of the offensive schematics that is put in front of him. And he's also smart enough that if he gets the opportunity, if he's going to throw the deep ball or he's not going to throw the deep ball, and he makes less amount of mistakes. The 15 total touchdowns, and not to mention the 5 picks altogether, really says it all. And the interception ratio is at a 2.2. That's probably the best adjustment that the Chargers have made at the quarterback position. And the other thing that's a bonus is that Justin Herbert can utilize his legs. And this is one that the Chargers really wanted to move forward with, because unfortunately for Phillip Rivers and how unathletic of a quarterback that he was not getting the job done. And if you think about it, with the speed and the flow of the game, there's going to be a time where we're not going to see too many pocket passing quarterbacks as much in this league. Because years ago, I mean, think about it. We had guys that were running around left and right, and we used to criticize saying, okay, that's nice and all, but eventually he's going to get himself hurt. Now it's like the tables have shifted to where now more teams are now looking for quarterbacks who are mobile, run outside the pocket, and create spacing for his wide receivers. This is what's been the total package for the Chargers at the number 6 pick in the draft. And I'm loving how the future is shaping. Now, I know everybody's concerns with this one because this is a tough, grinding game. And by the way, you two, this game is going to be the determining factor of what the Chargers' next move is going to be. It's not going to be with a certain player, and it's not going to be with anything else of what they need to do. This is going to be the determining factor of the coaching staff, because we have been hearing this now for the last couple of weeks. This Chargers team is 2-5, and I made my early predictions before the season started that this team would go 11-5, because I just look at this roster, and you can't tell me that from top to bottom, Like, this is a team that could be top 15 in the NFL from top to bottom with the weapons. The offensive line got so much better when getting Brian Bulaga and Trey Turner, and now to finally see him there playing in Sunday's game is going to make a difference. But at the same time, this defense is also loaded with their secondaries, picking up Chris Harris, and so many others out of free agency.
About Chris Harris, but okay.
Yeah, but I know how you feel about Chris Harris. But
y'all know how I feel about it. I had to cut you off there, Jay, because Chris Harris is a scrub. He's a scrub. I'm sorry. His years in Denver is over. He's a scrub. Sorry.
But think about it this way. His veteran experience has really taken a toll for some of the next men up who are in the secondaries. And I'm talking about guys like Nazir Adderley, even the newest rookie out of Notre Dame, Alohi Gilman, and then not to mention Rayshawn Jenkins has really been playing well, and so is Michael Davis. So they've got depth in their secondaries, and it doesn't even matter who's got to be the bigger spotlight of who's got to make the big stops on the pass plays. But everybody all has a role. Everybody's got a job, and they have to execute it. This is what has been the biggest questions for the Chargers all throughout this NFL season. Because all throughout this roster, we're talking about it. We are definitely talking about it.
Like crazy.
Because I will say this, and I've talked to you about this off the air. There is no way with a talent and a roster like this that a team should even be 2-5 at all. In my anticipation, when I looked at the weeks, the only coin flip game was going to be the Chiefs. That was going to be the only coin flip game. It could have been either a win or a loss. But this team, from those weeks and the setups, and then not to mention the matchups they were facing off against each other, the team should have been 5-1. In my opinion. But the problem of it is, and I'm sure Bolt Gang can agree with me on this one, but there have been situations late in games that even if the team puts up 16, 17 points, they get way too conservative. They get conservative. Justin Herbert doesn't end up executing the big time plays like we're usually used to seeing him do. And then the defense loses themselves at the wrong time. And that's where offenses like last week, Denver started walking all over everybody late. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady started annihilating the defense and just completely stripped them out of their game. And that was when they won it late. Same thing that I could say for the Saints with Drew Brees. The fact that he found ways to connect with his wide receivers, even if it was short passes, but still stopped the defense from making big-time stopping plays, and they were walking all over him. And that was the one thing that I look at Gus Bradley and his defensive schematics, because I know you guys talk a lot about Paul Gunther and how he sets his secondaries up, and because the front seven's great. But as far as how the secondary set up, especially on big-time pass plays, that's something that's questionable because you think of LaMarcus Joyner, where they're going to set him at. But for Gus Bradley, this is where he has to utilize the secondaries more than worrying about the linebackers and the front seven. Because in this league, it's all about the quarterbacks and the weapons they have around him. And you're going to have to utilize all the secondaries to keep up with those wide receivers. Stop the pass game.
Hold up, Jake. Just to let you know, Easy Raiders, this is still our brother outside of what's going on between Raiders and Chargers. At the end of the day, this is my brother. He wants to give his stuff out. Mind you, it's not a lot of Chargers fans that couldn't come up here with him. So even though that this is a rivalry game this week, this is still our brother. We let him get what he get out, but we got some rebuttals coming. Just let it be. Let it be.
Yeah,
Calm down, Raider Nation. We got this.
Hey, they're getting too excited. Hey, listen, if it makes y'all feel better, I'm sure I've got a bunch of Raider Nation up out there banging up on my door because they know I'm a Charger fan living in Vegas. But you know what? Hey, but you know what though? I stand true to my colors. I mean, listen, even as You guys have always had the saying with the Raiders. Once you're a Raider fan, you're a Raider fan for life. Am I right? You never.
But why is he getting upset listening as a Raiders fan? This is a special guest. We letting him get what he get off so we can rebuttal. This is a guess.
Yeah, it's a back and forth thing.
Y'all know better than that, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I will, and this is why that I'm just like this Chargers team. And listen, not to burst anybody's bubble, but I'll be honest with you. This Chargers team, no matter how many times you pick on us, you poke the bear, or how many times there's so many smack talks, or there's broken promises, all this other stuff, or overhypes. This team is not that far away from winning a championship than people think. It's not. It's not the players. It's not the players. It's not the roster. It's this coaching staff. If you've got the right coaching staff to move, because you've got the future in Justin Herbert. This kid can play. He's got the most respect in this league.
Future, but
he is.
Y'all said the same thing for Phillip Rivers. The same thing for Phillip Rivers. And then the thing about it is, Jake, I'm gonna be honest with you. Y'all should never got rid of Drew Brees. I'm sorry to say, y'all should never got rid of Drew Brees, and y'all probably would have had championships. But right now, y'all said the same thing for Phillip Rivers, bro. It's a fact.
And you're absolutely right. I can't deny that. But also, too, do mind, our quarterbacks over the years have not been the problem for the Chargers. The problem for the Chargers has been the front office ownership, because they don't want to spend big top dollar money to keep their quarterbacks healthy. And I'm talking about reshaping the offensive line, because that offensive line has been the reason Drew Brees has been hurt with shoulder injuries. Not to mention Phillip Rivers suffering an ACL tear in the AFC Championship game in 2007. And so that has been the big time accountability. And that is the one thing that now this year, this is why I say this is a newer Chargers group, because now finally, after all these years, they decided to work on the one thing that has been a problem for over 30 years, the offensive line. And now they've got good guys like Trey Turner for the interior offense to stop the Mike plays that the defenses likes to rush through. So that way then, it gives interior protection. And not to mention, getting Brian Bulaga, I thought, was a big-time steal. The fact that you've got a tackle who can protect Justin Herbert on his blind side, he's a guy that is willing to make those stops when the defense is coming. And this is where this offensive line is getting better and better and better. But here's the other thing. You may talk about our quarterbacks, but I'm going to tell you right now, it took the Raiders 12 quarterbacks just to finally settle for Derek Carr. It took them 12. I mean, let's be honest. We'll be honest and we'll be real about that. Okay, because after the Rich Gannon years, you had to settle with Kerry Collins, Bruce Gradkowski, Matt McGloin, Jamarcus Russell. I've got a whole list going on up over here. Andrew Walter, until you finally picked up the one promising kid from Fresno State, Derek Carr.
It doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because let me tell you this. You can say all those quarterbacks in the world, but in the last couple of years since Derek Carr's been here, he's been better than Phillip Rivers. What are you saying?
But here's the thing.
What are you saying? He's been better than Phillip Rivers ever since Derek Carr's been here. Let's talk about it. When the last time Phillip Rivers was in an actual MVP caliber? Caliber since Derek Carr been here.
Hey, listen, 2018 looked like an MVP caliber. It looked like an MVP caliber season. Not joking. That was the only push that Phillip Rivers had left until the gas was out of the tank in 2019. 2018 was the only push that they had. That's it.
Of course, he will be great when Derek Carr is not fully healthy. But when he's fully healthy, like in 2016, where was Phillip Rivers?
Hey, listen, Phillip Rivers was still playing his own game, regardless whether he was on top of being an MVP caliber season or whatnot. But think about it this way. He has played in multiple playoff appearances than Derek Carr has. Let's just be real. Let's just be real about that. Derek Carr has only had the one playoff appearance, but yet, where was he? The car broke down. He was hurt at the worst time.
Behind Donald Pitt, fat ass. That's why.
But think about it. make all of these comparisons during a season, but let me just be honest. At the end of the day, Phillip Rivers has had more playoff opportunities than Derek Carr has. But I'm not saying that Derek Carr cannot lead this Raiders team to a playoff run. I'm not saying that, because I think eventually he's going to get his, but it's only a matter of time. But even though that Phillip Rivers is gone, this is why I don't even talk about Phillip Rivers no more, because that was the end of that era. It's over. And now with him and the Colts, and you see his style of play, he's just proving the Chargers' point. We needed to move off him. The next generation is here, and he's playing right now. That's why I'm like,
I'm gonna let Jay go. I could go all day with this. I'm gonna let Jay go on this one. I could go all day with this.
All right. So my question for you, Jake, is so you have to understand that you are about to face a two-headed monster in this Raiders offense. Okay.
Yes.
Especially if Bryan Edwards is back, which it looks like he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of pick your poison. Are you going to let them run all day on you, or are you going to let them pass all day on you? Now, you guys are averaging, your defense is averaging, allowing 6.8 yards per pass to opposing offenses. Your run defense actually doesn't look that bad. It's averaging about allowing 4.7 yards per carry. So that doesn't actually look that bad. But I don't feel like that you guys have faced a run game like the Raiders with Josh Jacobs and Booker. I don't feel like you guys have really had to handle that. Now, what is going to stop this offense? How are the Chargers, especially without Nick Bosa there? Is it Nick
Joey
or
Bosa?
Joey. Excuse me, Joey.
Yeah,
I always
Joey
get the brothers mixed up, man.
Yeah, I do too.
Without Joey Bosa being there, I mean, that is a key cog to this clock known as the Chargers defense. What are you guys going to be able to do to stop this Raiders offense from driving down the field or controlling the clock to the point that Justin Herbert doesn't see the field, but 5 times in the whole game?
So I think it will be very interesting, and I'm glad that you bring up this point, because if you think about it with how the Chargers performed, because think about it this way. They just came off of a duo running back set between Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon. And that was something that the defensive front seven shut both of them down. They shut both of them down. Jerry Tillery stepped it up when needed to. And then not to mention, there's been some small spurts of Isaac Raquel really making a name for himself this year. So my biggest key factors on the representing as the lone Charger here on this planet Earth to say some key facts of what could be the game changer for the Chargers is, number one, you mentioned about the two-headed monster. Now, my thing of it is, as you just mentioned about those stats between the run defense and the pass defense, I mean, they haven't looked like they're very lopsided or that far away. So for me, it's all about multitasking when it comes to Gus Bradley's defense. And this is where guys like Jerry Tillery, Isaac Raquel, not to mention Melvin Ingram, he is playing in this game on Sunday. But the two guys that I think that have been big time impacts, and they're both linebackers, Kenneth Murray and Kaiser White. Kaiser White has been playing really good to where he's a defensive threat. That when it comes to the run game, even if he spots out Josh Jacobs or Jalen Richard or Devontae Booker, or even as they just promoted Theo Riddick to the 53-man roster, whoever's got the ball in their hands, Kaiser White and Kenneth Murray are going to expect to get him, because
that's my thing though. Just to cut you off, that's my thing though. Like, even if we have all these running backs, y'all couldn't even take care of Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. So just imagine the running backs that we have, especially with an Allen Ingold that can catch the ball out the backfield, and he's a bruiser, so he will run over linebackers. He really will do that. So let's just be realistic here.
But remember this too. That didn't happen until late in the game. Those were the late game situations. That was what was the difference maker. If you actually saw in the first half of the game, the first half defense, they need to play like that throughout this whole game, because the first half defense against Denver was massive. They stopped everybody on their tracks. They also ended up creating pressures on Drew Lock to force him to throw into 3 and outs, force the offense out. And that was what the Chargers have been able to utilize very, very well. I've been saying this about Kenneth Murray's rookie season, because honestly, his perspective as a linebacker, I've always compared him to Darius Leonard, because he's a high motor linebacker. He's a guy that he's going to find a way to execute a job, whether it's stopping the run, creating pressure on the quarterback, and busting through the offensive line to make him uncomfortable, collapsing the pocket. So I'm going to expect in this game that the defensive front seven, regardless if it's a run or a pass play, I'm expecting the defensive front seven to stay solid, make that pocket uncomfortable for a guy like Derek Carr, where he doesn't have the space or the room in order for him to stay solid and make quality throws to top dog receivers like Nelson Aguilar, Henry Ruggs, and even Hunter Renfrow. And these are some guys that are those are the impacts for the Raiders offense. And then not to mention, they have a couple more that are coming in as well. But the other part of it is too, the secondaries, I'll be honest, the secondaries are not that bad. Casey Hayward has had his moments of being a shutdown corner. And then not to mention, we just watched Rayshawn Jenkins be playing really, really well. It's all about the next man up when it comes to this secondary, because we know we know that Derwin James is a big hit. We know that. And it sucks for Bolt fans like myself.
Then y'all get rid of Desmond King. That's another one that really is going to hurt y'all this Sunday.
It will, but if you think about this, though, this was the news that I ended up getting about Desmond King. Is Desmond King, even though, to me personally, if there was no off-field antics, we could have gotten a third or a fourth round pick for him in return, because the last 3 seasons altogether with the Chargers, he's been solid. He's a big-time utility type player and high motor, very, very high motor. And with the off-field antics, that was what was the last straw for the Chargers, because of the fact of, all of these regulations and requirements for him. That's why they traded him easily to the Tennessee Titans for a 6th round pick, because they were trying to prove a point that he was not really following what the Chargers wanted to do as a group, as a team. And that's the kind of thing that kind of hurt, not only just for himself, but even for the team as well. So I hope great things for him in Tennessee, because I know Tennessee's been struggling in the last couple of games as well. They've kind of been exposed. But besides that fact, it is the next man up for this secondary as well. Same storyline when it comes to the Raiders. Because
I think I think when it comes to our defense, I think that Jonathan Abram is going to be the key factor. I feel like when it comes to Justin Herbert and Derek Carr, I'm just going to be honest. Justin Herbert looks like a young Derek Carr. That's exactly what he looks like when Derek Carr was not injured. I
don't disagree with that at all.
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
disagree with that at all.
But I'm just being real about it. Like, he looks like the Derek Carr of young. He looks like a 2016 Carr. But at the same time, I think Jonathan Abram in this defense is going to get to Justin Herbert. Yes, he is. He see with Herbert, he's mobile when he can be. He's not a mobile quarterback. That's the difference with a lot of them. People say, oh, Derek Carr can be a mobile quarterback. He's mobile when he can be. When a pocket breaks down, Derek Carr can be mobile. Same thing for Justin Herbert. If we could get to him and not let him get mobile and collapse that pocket, it's the same thing for Justin Herbert when it comes to our Raiders defense. Jay, you have anything to say? Because I mean,
one more point that I do want. One point that I do want to make before Jay goes is that Justin Herbert, this is going to be the last and final piece that he sees with the in-division play schemes. Because think about it. Between him and Patrick Mahomes, I thought that was a great matchup because, of course, Patrick Mahomes, he's ridiculous. He's unbelievable. You know, he's got great throws, runs out of the pocket, creates spaces. Justin Herbert can have the same exact ability, but that's where it's going to be a matchup for the next 10 years or so in this division that I can't wait to watch. If you even watched against Denver, Justin Herbert outplayed Drew Lock like by a long shot. By a long shot.
What are we talking about?
Hell yeah. He outplayed.
About.
I know, but this is also where this is going to make it exciting for Sunday because I can't wait for Sunday's game. I would love to see the challenge that Derek Carr brings against Justin Herbert. That's why I'm excited for the quarterback battles because you know what? If there's any division that I can't stop watching, it's our division, AFC West. We're the best division in football. We've got quarterbacks. We've got weapons. We've got pass rushers. We've got secondaries. That's why I'm like, this is probably one of the best divisions in the NFL. And again, you can't dispute that. You can't dispute that. But this is where also the Chargers have to play solid for all 4 quarters. They have to. They have to play solid for all 4 quarters. Because, again, if I see conservative play from Anthony Lynn and Gus Bradley one more time on Sunday, that's it. I'm pulling the plug. I'm cutting the cord. I'm going to end up posting up on Craigslist, or I'm going to end up posting up on, apply for new jobs. We need new coaching. We need a new coaching staff. Honestly, because you know what? The candidates, I'll make it short and simple, but I think the best candidates for the Chargers, if they decide to go that route, would be Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, Urban Meyer, if you can sweeten the deal, because think about it. He's a guy that loves young developmental talent. You can't turn away from that. That's one real good coach that I think could really help with this Chargers team, but only time will tell, and only until any given Sunday.
Let Jay go. I know Jay he got some he's a stat and analytic guy like you a little bit, Jake. So I know Jay is waiting, man. I know he's waiting.
Well, here's what I want to do. Because I feel like we have been
do it, man.
Going off on and kind of pressing Jake and stuff like that. Jake, I want you to ask us some questions now and allow us, because I don't want to keep putting the pressure on you this whole time.
Yeah, of course. So my question for you guys is, because and there have been times I've been watching this whole season with the Raiders. I really have. But I do think this Raiders offense is very dynamic. I do believe it's dynamic. But as we mentioned about, the concerns with the offensive line, because it's like, again, on any given Sunday, is the offensive line going to protect Carr enough for him to make quality throws and be the game changer? Or is the offensive line going to slip a few plays past them, and now Derek Carr's got a lot more pressure on him? How do you guys see this offensive line really stacking up, regardless of without Joey Bosa and the next guy stepping up on the defensive front sevens? How do you think this offensive line is really going to favor against this Chargers front seven?
If we don't have Colton Miller, that's going to be a little bit rough. It's not going to be easy. If with Trent Brown being out, we've got guys that have stepped up to the plate and really done a good job of protecting Carr in his place. Denzel Good being one of them. So I'm not too terribly concerned about not having Trent Brown at this point, especially without Joey Bosa being in. That makes me feel a lot better. Sure. But if we're missing Colton Miller, which again, that's a game day decision. It could be a long day. Now the difference though, that we have towards in comparison to other teams is we have really, really good running backs and really good backs that can protect well, the same as tight ends. We have a lot of tight ends who can step in and add extra pass coverage when necessary. So I'm not 100% concerned, especially with Joey Bosa being out, as far as, us being able to keep Carr. And then, again, Carr has one of the fastest releases in the NFL. You've heard me say it before, he can get the ball out of his hands quick. There is opportunity for, especially if we can get the run game going, there is opportunity for a lot of play action and stuff like that, is going to help with, with the pass rush, screen plays, that sort of stuff. So I'm not too terribly concerned about it. I would be a lot more concerned if Joey Bosa was in the picture, because again, he's a key piece to your guys' defense. I'll be honest with you. I'm not super concerned about, Kenneth Murray. I'm not super concerned about him. There's just not a lot of guys with a lot of sacks, so other than Joey Bosa. So I'm just really not too concerned about it. What do you think?
So I'm not really too concerned either about, our offensive line. Yes, I know Colton Miller would be a huge blow if he cannot go. He is a game time decision coming into this week. It will be a huge blow for us because, we love to establish the run first before we start hitting no big throws. We love to do that. That's one thing the Raiders love to do. And knowing that we don't have Trent Brown, probably we don't know how long we want to have, Trent Brown out for, but you got to give big ups to Brandon Parker and Denzel Good for filling in these spots on the offensive line and playing really well the last couple of weeks. So I feel like if we could establish our run game and get this momentum going with this offensive line, if you've seen it last week, I know Josh Jacobs had 31 carries last week. But if you see the more that we ran the ball, the more confident the line gets. And I think if that happens this week, it's going to be a field day for the Chargers. It's going to be, because Devontae Booker is going to come in when Josh Jacobs not in. Now you might have Theo Riddick comes in as a third back, and then you might have Ingo come out of the backfield as far as on fourth downs and when it comes to catching the ball at the backfield. So if we can keep Carr upright and keep him clean and keep him to a point where we establish the run, that the Chargers defense is going to have to bite. And we're going to have to use our play action to our opinion. I feel like this is the game when Henry Ruggs have his broken game. My bold prediction for Henry Ruggs is to have 7 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown, which I can see that because just our offensive line is just that good when it comes to the pass. Yes, we do give up a sack or two in a game, which it happens, but even though we give up that sack, we always bounce back. So I think our offensive line would be fine against this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree more there. I think that when I even look on the other side of things with the Raiders, I do agree that I think Henry Ruggs is going to be the game changer there. But here's the other funny thing about this too. And so something that I would ask, because the Raiders defense has faced against big time quarterbacks. I mean, you guys got the job done against Kansas City. Kudos to you guys. You guys got the job done against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. And that's not an easy matchup to face either, because of the fact of how Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid really set up the offense from here, and utilizes his tight end set, and not to mention his wide receivers with Tyreek Hill. But the one thing that I will say about this, and I think this is going to be an interesting question, because you mentioned about the positioning of LaMarcus Joyner, also not to mention the big time game changer Jonathan Abram, who's going to need to step up in this game, and then not to mention Damon Arnett. So the Chargers, their wide receiving core is it's there. There are so many different weapons to Justin Herbert's abilities. There's so many different weapons that he could utilize. And the one guy that I think that has been a big time factor has been Jalen Guyton. And as I mentioned, he's like
last week. He played really good last week. I'm not.
He played great. And to be honest. And to be honest, because this was a guy that I was hoping would step up into the slot position because they needed somebody to step up. And I think Jalen Guyton has done exactly just that. A hole that was empty since Tyrell Williams took the contract with the Raiders. Now the Chargers seem to be fine with the fact of he's building up, he's getting to his potential. But my question of this is because of all of these wide receivers and the same that goes for the Chargers, especially against the Raiders wide receivers, because you got to stop the speed of Ruggs. You got to stop the route running, and not to mention the open capabilities of Hunter Renfrow. But also, let's not forget about Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar's really looked like a different wide receiver this year versus the years he's played since the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. So in this case, how do you think that the secondaries will shape up? We know Jonathan Abrams is going to be the big-time key factor, but if things don't pan out well with setting up where LaMarcus Joyner can be a shutdown type safety, could that potentially be a problem for the Raiders secondary if it gets into one of those situations where Justin Herbert finds his guy, whether it's Jalen Guyton or it's any of the big-time receivers, and be the game changer, let's say, in the third quarter of play?
I say that our wide receivers is just as good as the Chargers wide receivers. We can go down the list of wide receivers, especially bringing Brian Edwards back. Mind you, I mean, Zay Jones been quiet this week, but you just don't know what wide receiver is going to break out for our Raiders. We don't have one receiver that
same with the Chargers.
Did we have the rest? 1 week it could be Darren Waller. 1 week it could be Henry Ruggs. The last couple of weeks, I'm not going to lie, outside of the Browns game, has been Nelson Aguilar. You just never know. You might know we might target Zay Jones a little bit. You just don't know. And I feel like with your secondary, it's going to be hard to defend because we have so many receivers that could get open. It's not going to be too many to cover. And then, like we said before, Chris Harris, like I said, he's a scrub and he struggles against speedster receivers. So if he's playing this weekend and he's going up against Henry Ruggs, he's going to have a field day. Because me personally, Henry Ruggs is the fastest player in this league. Even before John Ross, I don't care what nobody say. No corner in this league can run with Henry Ruggs. If Derek Carr could get him the ball and outrun these corners, especially for the Chargers, I'm telling you, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be
It's going to be a long day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's my thing is that I don't feel like, other than Kansas City, I don't feel like this defense has had to deal with a defense that's this fast and has this many pieces, has this many layers to it. I mean, from the running backs, from Josh Jacobs to Darren Waller to, Ruggs to Nelson Aguilar to Hunter Renfrow, that's what I'm saying. Which it almost feels like, and this is just the Raider fan in me, but also just looking at it analytically, which part are you going to choose to, seal your fate? I just don't see that this Chargers defense, especially, I'm going to keep pounding the table, especially with Joey Bosa not being a part of it, which is a key part. How do you really stop this offense from moving down the field in a dome, where we all know that Derek Carr plays a lot better in, when he's comfortable, when the elements aren't a factor. I just don't see how it's going, how you guys are going to be able to stop it. I just don't. And there should be really no reason. Like this is one of those games where if the Raiders lose, it's because they beat themselves.
No, absolutely. And I what's kind of funny about this, because I'm also looking at the probabilities for this game in particular, because you know what? I feel like all three of us are literally saying the same things when it comes to potentialities of every single situation in the game. And then just like you pointed out, Jay, that if the Raiders lose, it's because they beat themselves. I could say the same thing about the Chargers, because that has been games where they've had 16, 17-point leads and they've blown it. They lost themselves. And that's where I'm concerned with Gus Bradley, and I was concerned about Anthony Lynn. But looking at this, I mean, I'm going to give you guys my final score here in just a second, because I know I got to run. But the point spread is flat out even. That's just telling you that both these teams, I think this is probably the best evenly matched game we have this week. Because if you think about it, the only difference, the Raiders have allowed 29 points per game, and the Chargers have only allowed 26.4.
So that's just as close. It's just
it's just as close. And if you think about it too, because you look at both pass defenses and run defenses, they're not that far. Maybe about like a 5-yard differential, because the Raiders only allow 117 on the ground and the Chargers only allowed 112. And then the Raiders, when it comes to the air, they're 266 and the Chargers only allow 263. This is the most evenly matched game. I can't even argue enough. This is going to be awesome to watch because, and I think one of them mentioned in the comments, how is the linebacking core going to stop Darren Waller?
Yeah, I was going to get to that before you get to your final prediction. I was going to ask you that. So
my thing of it is, because again, the next man up, you've got 3 linebackers, Kaiser White, Kenneth Murray, and Denzel Perryman. Now, I think Perryman, because we know that there hasn't been so much of his job that he's executed, but he's slowly getting back into that role. I see him as an offensive scanner on the defensive side. So if it came to the point where the Raiders decide to utilize their tight end play with Darren Waller, I think, to me personally, the only guy that I would expect to really kind of be an offensive threat in that game would be Kenneth Murray. Because as I've said, wherever the ball goes to, whether it's Derek Carr throwing it to his tight ends, he's going to go and stop them. He's going to, and like, that's just how high motored of a linebacker that he is. And the same thing when it comes to the run game, that when he sees a guy run the football, he's going to come in for the charge and he's going to take him out. That's the one thing that I've loved about Kenneth Murray, and that I love about how good that this linebacking core has gotten better. So I can't wait to see for that to happen. But if I had to think of a guy that's an impact against Waller, I have to go with Kenneth Murray on that one. But my prediction on this, the point spread in this one is 51.5. So if I'm Bolt Gang and if I'm Raider Nation, if you guys love bets, because me being born and raised in Vegas, we're all about bets, baby. We just win. I would go with the over on that point spread. Seriously, this is going to be a high-scoring game on both sides. Both of them are going to trade off points. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be who's going to stand out as the better team in the end at the final quarter. So my prediction, standing amongst with my Chargers and with Bolt Gang, I see this game going as a 30-27 Chargers win. 3-point margin. 3-point margin. That's all I need.
All right, so I'm not going to give out. I mean, if you want to give us I'll give our predictions down before he has to head out. Like I said, this is like a mirror match game for both teams. Like, we're kind of depleted on both sides of the ball when it comes to certain injuries and certain key factors but certain key players might be, game time decisions and stuff like that. But I just feel like right now the Raiders are a more healthier team than the Chargers, in my personal opinion. And I feel like Josh Jacobs will have a game day against this Chargers defense, and it's going to open it up just for our wide receivers to get more open, because I feel like our running backs is going to be a key factor to our offense establishing. If Josh Jacobs get 31 carries again in this game, Justin Herbert might not see the field at all, because time of possession is what we kill in every single game. We kill the time of possession. So if we get more drives and more plays in time of possession and Josh Jacobs running the ball effectively, we win this game. And I say vice versa to you. I say a 3-point game as well. I say 4-point game, 31-27. Raiders win in a Derek Carr comeback. Mind you, Derek Carr has 9 fourth-quarter comebacks in his career, 9 of them. So that's really good for him too. 31-27 Raiders.
Okay. All right. I like the prediction. I absolutely like the prediction, guys. Wow.
Here's my prediction. Obviously, I'm picking the Raiders to win.
Obviously.
but I really feel like this is going to be a huge game for the offense. So I'm gonna go 35 Raiders. I still feel like it's not going to be a huge margin of victory. I'm going to say 35-28. 35-28, and that's me giving a little bit more because mind you, if Damon Arnett is back, that's going to be really tough because those Damon Arnett and Mullen together, I mean that's a tall order. So I'm going to say, I'm going to give a little bit more than I feel like I should to the Chargers, and so I'm going to say 35-28.
So there you have it, guys. We do have those predictions, and we want to thank Jake for coming on in a small time manner to talk about this. I know he got things he got to do personally on his Friday night. So just say what say your last words before you head out, man.
Well, I could tell you this, though, and you know what? I'm hoping my pops is watching this because you know what? This will make Raider Nation happy. But my pops, shout out to him, my right side, strong side, getting better every day. And let's just say thoughts and prayers to him on Tuesday as he is having open heart surgery to repair a hole in his heart after he suffered a stroke back in April. But he's getting better. He's getting stronger. And, man, does he bleed silver and black. He loves those Raiders, and so this has been a tradition we've had ever since I was a kid between Raiders, Chargers matchups, whether it was playing Madden or just watching it over the television or being at the bar and just going crazy and obnoxious. But I cannot wait. This would be a dream come true, though, too. If we get a ticket, and listen, even if I'm in there in Allegiant Stadium, I still rep my colors. Being born and raised here in the Vegas Valley, but you know what, though? It's for my pops because he's been to the games back in the Coliseum years ago, and this would be a dream come true for him to see it in Allegiant Stadium, and that beautiful stadium and that field. It would be awesome. But thank you so much, Raider Nation, for at least having me here. Listen, I know I know it's all little tensions and rivalries up over here, but I do appreciate you guys just cooperating with me from here. But just remember, okay? Because every single day, 24/7, till the day I die, Bolt Gang sound off. We bolt up against those haters.
Now you want to kick. Now when you want to leave, you want to talk smack. You talk about the haters. Them bolts need to strike somebody before you call yourself bolt up.
Hey, when you get a ring, you just come talk to us. Come talk to us, all right?
Oh Lord, yeah. Listen, all you better promise me on Sunday is that there is enough gas in the tank in that car, man. Because I'm afraid it's gonna lose its transmission because he ain't gonna go nowhere.
You better make sure there's some herbs in Herbert, okay?
Hey, Herbert. Hey, I could tell you, Herbert is ready to come out fully loaded, man. He's got that gun, he's got that cannon. So bring it on, bring that secondary on, brothers.
But make sure y'all go over and subscribe to Snake Sports Talk Show, man. He definitely talks all sports on Saturday mornings, which is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time, which is on the West Coast. So make sure y'all go over there and subscribe to Jake the Snake Silva. Thank you so much for being on here, bro. I know you gotta go. I know you gotta run, but thank you so much for being on here. It's really an honor to have you on the show, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, guys. Peace, love, be safe, be healthy up out there, and we will save the rest of the smack talking for Sunday.
Awesome. And we might have a post-game live right after the game. So with us, so we might flip-flop. We might go on Jake's channel. We'll talk about that off the air. But he is a part of the Spotlight Sports Network, y'all. So make sure we are live over there too. So go over there and show love over there as well. But thanks, Jake, for being on, man. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, you guys. Have a good night. Thank you guys so much.
You too, man.
And there you have it, guys. That was Jake. I mean, y'all gave him a hard time in the chat. Golly, like Raider Nation, y'all is buck. Y'all is buck. I have to say, like,
it's that division rivalry, man.
Ooh, y'all is buck. But I love y'all, man. I just want to let y'all know that he is a part of the Spotlight Sports Network. And yes, it is Chargers fans out there.
There's not very many, but there are some.
Right. It's not many at all. It's not many at all. We still going to stay live because all of our accounts is connected. So we are still going to stay live. If Jake wants to cut the Raiders parts out and keep his segment, that is fine. But we still live on his channel as well. Darn, Jay, like, you know, how you feel about this game, man? I think we covered a lot, you know, while Jake was on here. You know, he had to come with his analytics and his stats as well, bro.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like that, you know, we did cover a lot. I feel like, you know, again, you know, given this situation, it's really going to be up to which team shows up and which team wants it more. Because our defense has not been playing up to its potential. Will that be different on Sunday? I mean, we saw quite a few adjustments against Cleveland. Will we see some more? I mean, we just really don't 100% know what defense we're going to be getting going into Sunday. So I'm optimistic about it. I like some of the changes they made. I hope they continue to make those changes. You know, hopefully it just wasn't situational. Hopefully some of those changes, like, you know, Joyner being moved to the full safety or free safety position, is a permanent thing. But we don't really know, you know, and again, with the injuries, we're not 100% sure, but I feel like fully healthy, even with our defensive woes, I still feel like this is a very, very beatable team. Justin Herbert is still a rookie, although he's playing well, he's still a rookie.
Right.
You can see it. I mean, look how many times that they were behind and they gave up, you know, they gave up a whole bunch of points to an opposing team and were able to come back, you know. I think it's going to be easier than it looks to shut down Justin Herbert, especially with a guy like Jonathan Abram. I think Jonathan Abram is going to be the X factor in this game. I really feel like if Jonathan Abram, I mean, you saw it last game against the Browns, they rushed him. Now he got a sack, but unfortunately it was called back because he was offsides. But he's definitely going to clean that stuff up. And so if he comes out playing like that, and he gets a hit on Justin Herbert, that could be game right there, because he might have him shook for the rest of the game. It just, you know, who really knows? But we'll just have to see, man. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a good game, man. I really do.
So he said, "Yo, Spotlight, what do you think about Morrow taking playing time away from Littleton?" I don't know. I mean, Morrow did get an interception so far this year. And I mean, I don't think he's going to take playing time because they all start in the 4-3. So is Kowalski in the middle. Do you have Corey Littleton and Morrow? So I don't think taking time away, I don't think that's going to be an issue because they all start in the 4-3 defense. Now, if you would have said McMillan taking time away from Littleton, that's a different story. But as of right now, I don't see Morrow taking more time from Littleton due to the fact that all three linebackers start. What you think, Jay?
I mean, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I mean, whoever performs. I mean, I don't really have, you know, I'm about the team winning. You know, I don't take it personally. I don't think, you know, I feel like that Littleton should have. Feel like he's like Paul Gunther said, he's trying to do too much, trying to take too much on. So I feel like his role should be a little bit more limited, or what's being expected of him should be cut down, and, you know, let Morrow come in and kind of fill in that gap, you know, and make it more of a situational type deal. So I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. I mean, if we get results out of it, how can you be mad?
All right, so B-Man Vegas. I don't know if you on Spotlight Sports Network or you on the Spotlight Raiders Talk, but he did have the question saying, you guys think Miller is playing? I think he's going to play.
Me too.
I really think that he's going to play because Colton Miller do not like to miss games. He does not like it. And I think he did that in college too, that he played through injury, and that's the type of toughness we need on this offensive line. I think he will play. I definitely think he will play in this game. You think so too?
Yeah, I think he will. I think, you know, it's one of those things where they're probably playing it up more than it is. You know, and Colton Miller is the type of player right now, you know, with the experience that he's gotten and how well he plays, you know, he's kind of like, he's kind of like Rodney Hudson. If Rodney Hudson's not feeling too well or whatever, he doesn't practice because he doesn't have to. He's pretty much well prepared. So if there's a situation where they don't have to practice or they need to take some time off and just rest, they'll go ahead and do that. So I really don't feel like he's going to miss it. I don't feel like it's bad enough for him. Obviously, if it was bad enough, they probably put him on the injury reserve, but they're not doing that. So I highly doubt, unless he was out or doubtful, right now he's just questionable. So I don't really think that that's, bad enough for him to actually be like, he's going to miss the game. Obviously if they practice tomorrow and something happens, if he tries to practice and something happens, that status might change. But as of right now, it's questionable. I'm not too worried about it.
Absolutely. I'm not too worried about it either. But before we head out, because I know it's a Friday night and a lot of things going on, I might be back on later on tonight to do a Madden game with the Chargers and the Raiders. Probably just a simulation type of thing. I'm not too sure yet, but definitely keep a lookout for that live stream. I might do a Madden Raiders versus Chargers game, even with update the rosters, make sure it's the updated rosters, all the injuries is the injuries as well. So hopefully I'll be back for that. For anybody that has not subscribed to My City, My Game, make sure y'all go over to My City, My Game. As of right now, I could put the link in the chat for y'all because he has another challenge for y'all. he did the one chip challenge, and that was the most hilarious video that I've seen in months. I'm not going to even lie. So tell them about your challenge, when you get to the 200 subscriber mark.
Yeah, so as soon as I hit 200 subscribers, I'm going to basically as soon as I hit that, whatever video that was posted previous to that, I'm going to put a message out, obviously, to everybody and have them comment in the comments on that video, right? So I'll probably go live and be like, hey, we hit 200 subscribers, make sure that you leave a comment in this video, right? So whoever leaves a comment on that video, I will take those people's names and I'm going to write a rap and I'm going to perform it live and I'm going to integrate those people's names into it. So that's my challenge.
Y'all hear that, right? Y'all hear that? So he's going to write a rap when he gets to 200 subscribers. So y'all definitely got to go over there and subscribe. I'm going to put the link in the description as we speak because I had to go get the link first. So let me put the link in the description. Let me unpin this message here and put the new one up there real quick. Come on. There we go. There y'all go, ladies and gentlemen. It is up there now. That My City, My Game is up there and is in the pinned comments. But I do see that we did have a few questions before we head off here. Let me go up a little bit. Let me see. Put Morrow in. Good has to play anyway because there's no Trent and Incognito, right? Yes. Denzel Good's been playing really good in Richie Incognito's spot. He has been playing really good. So I'm not really concerned with Denzel Good. I really hope that, Sam Young and Brandon Parker can, help split the snaps, but I feel like I prefer Brandon Parker over Sam Young right now. Due to the fact that Sam Young cannot stay healthy and he just has not been playing well. Even if he is healthy, he's just been getting dominated. He definitely got dominated a few times in that Browns game. But how you feel about Brandon Parker if he does get to start? If with Trent Brown,
who's behind him?
Who's behind Brandon Parker?
Yeah, is he number 3?
I think Brandon Parker was the number 3.
Okay, I feel like he's been playing well enough. To stand in there. I mean, he had a pretty good game against the Browns, but obviously they weren't rushing what's his name on that side. What's his name?
On the opposite side of the line?
Not Chubb. What is his name?
Kareem Hunt?
No, for the Browns. Their pass rusher.
Myles Garrett.
Yes, thank you, Myles Garrett. Thank you so much. They weren't rushing Myles Garrett on that side. They were rushing him on the left side. So Colton Miller was the one handling him, and he did a really good job. So I mean, Parker seemed to do a pretty good job. He didn't allow any pressure from that side. Gruden had a lot of good things to say about him. So I'm not super concerned about that. Again, Joey Bosa not being in, I mean, obviously they do have some sacks on the season. I think like 15, the Chargers do. So I wouldn't be too totally concerned about it because, again, we have guys like, Josh Jacobs and Ingold and Booker and, Waller and guys like that can block really well for the pass rush. So.
What's going on, Key in the building? I just want to give a shout out to Mama Key in the building. Mama Key in the building was in the chat and she picked the Chargers. Mama Key in the building, we got to talk. Mama Key in the building, we got to talk because Mama Key was in the building. Yeah. So, yeah, when I give you a call, Key, if you with your mother, I need to talk to her why she picked the Chargers over the Raiders because that's supposed to be Mama Key, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all from Mama Key. But Maria said that she picks the Raiders. Let me see if there's any other questions before we head out. Key, you're actually particularly late though for some reason. B-Man Vegas said he's better. He feel better with Sam Young. Honestly, I don't feel better with Sam Young. I just feel like I don't know, from the game that we saw last week, he was getting the reason why he was one of the reasons why that car got sacked, if I'm not mistaken. Sam Young.
Yes.
He was one of the reasons why Carr got sacked in one of those in that game against the Browns. And I just feel like with Brandon Parker, I don't think he allowed the sack in that game. And when with Sam Young going out, I do feel like Brandon Parker, I think if you give him more time with this offensive line with Colton Miller and Gabe Jackson and Hudson, and they all play in one unison during practice, Brandon Parker would be good. You just got to give him that time,
Right. Maria Lycan says she has a question. What's your question? Go ahead and throw it in the chat and we'll answer it.
Yeah, what's your question? We definitely will, highlight it. Shout out to the $2 donation that we did highlight on here while Jake was on here. Shout out to that $2 donation. We really do appreciate that as well. Because that definitely goes back into the Spotlight Sports Network. Any donation that you do bring on here doesn't go particularly to me. It don't go to particularly to an individual person. It goes right back into the network so we can have better content from y'all every single week. Any news about Trent Brown? We talked about it. We talked about Trent Brown. As far as the news that I've known that he's back on the COVID-19 list, but it's not COVID related. He's still having complications. I think it's complications from the IV, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They said it was it was symptoms from COVID-19, so it was related in that way, but it wasn't related to a positive test. He's tested negative for COVID-19, but he's having some. I imagine it's probably a combination of COVID-19 and having the mishap with the IV. Right. I feel like it's probably both, but yeah, he's definitely got some illness from what they're saying is from COVID-19. So, or some lasting effects of the COVID-19.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, make sure y'all go over and subscribe to My City, My Game. I'm going to say it again. I think it's this way. Yeah, it's this way. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm pointing the right way for Raider J77. The link is definitely in the chat. It's definitely the pinned comment over there. And I want to make sure to let everyone know that all hoodies are available right now on the SpotlightSportsNetwork.com. So if y'all go to SpotlightSportsNetwork.com and hit the merch button, you will see all of our merch there, from hoodies to women's hoodies to even some t-shirts. If you still want to get a t-shirt, we still have those on there. Make sure y'all go over there and support, because everything that we get from the merchandise, it goes back into the network, y'all. It goes back to the network, and we're looking to do something big next year for the Spotlight Sports Network and the Spotlight Raiders Talk. So make sure y'all go over there and look at just, I mean, if you look at it and you want to send it in a chart, that's fine. because we have some discounts coming for y'all too. Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. And the more that you guys, put into the channel monetarily, that opens us up to be able to do things like giveaways, contests, things like that, where, you guys can get some free stuff. So
Right.
definitely support us in that way. We definitely appreciate it. It's always so much appreciated. Obviously the stuff that we do is not necessarily free. It costs us our time, and in some ways costs us money as well to be able to put this content out for you. So definitely get out there and support, and you will not regret it. Trust me.
You would not regret it, because we might be doing some t-shirt giveaways, some hoodies giveaways, even some Raiders jerseys giveaways. We just don't know, but as long as y'all support the channel, we can do that for y'all. Because I'm really thinking about getting some shot glasses made too. I'm really thinking about that with the probably the My City My Game logo on there, or get the Spotlight Raiders Talk logos on there as well. So some shot glasses for y'all to have, have a drink, have a shot during the Raiders game or something like that. But we trying to do that here. So, we don't ask for monetization. Like, if you want to give that to us, that's fine. If you don't, it's still fine. We're going to try our best ways to give you that giveaway as much as possible.
Yeah, and definitely, as soon as we're able to get back into like actually going to live games, this is something that we want to be able to do, at the games, do a tailgate show and things like that. So,
Right.
Like I said, any way that you guys can help support us is awesome. I'd really, I think it'd be really cool to put together, kind of a whole thing where you guys and us, we all, put it in together, and then we end up like going out to a tailgate at the stadium for a game, and just really doing it up big. I think that would be really cool. But again, this is all stuff that we have to put into the works, as time progresses and as we're able to build this channel and stuff like that. So
Anthony said, hashtag put Isaiah Johnson on the field. Hopefully we see him this week. Hopefully. Do you guys have days that you go live? Well, for now on, our preview live is going to be on Fridays. For now on, until if schedules don't conflict, we're going to keep it on Fridays. And then Sunday we do the live play-by-play in reactions of the game while the game is going on. And if we're feeling up to it, knowing the way things are, we will do a post-game live right afterwards. But if not, we'll do a reaction Monday, and then it will circle back. But I do put out videos during the week, so make sure y'all check that out. And then, Raider J does his reaction Tuesday, and he does put out videos as well on his channel. So most likely it's going to be like mostly the weekend. If some breaking news comes out, then I'll be like, yo, Raider J, we probably got to do this and do that. If some breaking news come out, that's what we had planned for the trade deadline. And nothing happened during the trade deadline.
Yeah, just
so we
crickets.
didn't have the live.
And Maria, if you subscribe to both channels, if you click the bell that's there on the page, and then click all. So if you click the bell, a little menu comes up, and you click all, you'll get all the notifications. So anytime we are getting ready to go live, or we go live, or we post a new video, anything like that, it's going to give you a notification through YouTube to let you know that we've posted something, or that we've scheduled a live video or a live show or whatever. So click the subscribe button, or click the bell, and then click all, and you'll get those notifications.
Absolutely. Let's get into some more. What week do you think they will pull up Irvin to the roster? I think they'll put him up to the roster when we play the Chiefs again. I think that would be the best bet. I don't know if do we play them next week, or do we play Denver next week?
I believe we play Denver next week.
So if we play Denver next week, so if he sits out this game and sits out the Denver game, I think they're going to bring him up. They're going to bring him up for the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think we might see something more once we know about Mo Hurst and whether or not he's going to be able, like how long he's going to be out.
Right.
So if he's probably, I would imagine, especially how this game goes, if we win this game against the Chargers, that's going to relieve some of the pressure, and they can be like, okay, let's not make crazy moves right now.
Right.
But if Mo Hurst is going to be out extended, you might end up seeing him come back sooner. It just really, there's a lot that kind of goes into making that decision, but there's no sense to rush him right now, I don't think.
Shout out to Young Hype on Facebook. Shout out to Young Hype Raiders James on Facebook. He said this game should be easy for my Raiders fan bam. Regardless, seeing what happened last time, all you need is rugs and cars to ride. I love my Raider family. Stay up. God bless. And, bless my Raider Nation family. Shout out to you, man. Really do appreciate it being off of Facebook. And you think it's going to be an easy win? I listen, if our defense can play the way we played last week, it will be an easy win.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge.
If we can establish the run, so my key to the game is establish the run. Get the run game established early, and if we can do that and can control the clock, we can definitely spell our defense. If you go back to last week, John Gruden was asked, what was the biggest thing for this defense? That this defense only allowing 2 field goals to the Browns. And he said, well, we were able to establish the run game, stay on the field longer as an offense, and give the defense more breaks. That says a lot. I mean, that does a lot for a defense. They don't have to fight and grind so hard,
Right.
Because you got to think about it. These guys that are rushing the passer, these guys on the defensive line, they're going 100% every single time. So they get tired a lot quicker than the offensive line does. So the more that we can give them time to rest, the better that they're going to play. And so if we can keep them off the field and we can establish this run against the Chargers, which I believe that we can, especially with Joey Bosa not being on the field, we can definitely win this game. It's completely winnable, but establishing the run and then working in that play action and getting those passes out to Ruggs. And if Brian Edwards is back, I'm going to be so excited.
I'll be very excited. I mean, they didn't say that it didn't have no questionable, it didn't have no doubtful, it didn't have none of that during the injury report. So hopefully we can have him this week. Who is your favorite college football team? Do I really have to say? My college football team stinks, man. Of course, I think I know what his favorite college football team is. I'm gonna say University of Oregon.
University of Oregon, the Ducks.
And that's funny thing is that you like the Justin Herbert when he was there last year,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now we get to talk about how we're going to defend him. Mine is the University of Tennessee. Very depressing way to say that because we are in a tough division in the SEC and we just got blown out by Alabama last week. So yeah, Tennessee is my favorite college that I wanted to go to, even when I was playing basketball. Like people might think this is crazy, but it was always a dream of me to meet Pat Summitt. That's why I wanted to go to Tennessee. I wanted to meet Pat Summitt. So it like the men's basketball team is starting to get better now, but back then the women's was great. The women's was great, and Pat Summitt was one of the best coaches that I ever seen in college basketball. So it made me fall in love with the school. It made me fall in love with the atmosphere. I actually went to go visit one time and I wasn't able to see Pat Summitt because they was having practice. So they've been my team ever since with them ugly orange colors, but I still love Tennessee.
Right on. I live in Oregon, so
right.
I'm a U of O guy. we have two teams. We have Oregon State and U of O, but I've always just been a Ducks fan ever since I was a kid. So we see people in here: Notre Dame, USC, Ohio State. But Fierce Raider said that he supports University of Maryland too. University of Maryland. They have Tua's little brother playing at Maryland. Tua Tagovailoa's little brother playing at Maryland. So I heard he had a good game. Not too long ago. How do you think we could use Ingold better? Give him more snaps. Yeah,
that's
more opportunities to in the pass game.
Give him more snaps, man. Give him more snaps. Give him more opportunities to catch the ball out the backfield and everything of that nature. Even some runs too. He's athletic. Let him run the rock a little bit. It don't have to be like 10 carries, but 5 carries is fine with me. I take that. Mind you, the way how we averaging yards per carry, why not give it to Ingold? not just on fourth down.
Yep. Spell Josh Jacobs a little bit.
Yeah, he does give me a little bit of Josh Jacobs. I think he's a little bit on the heavier side than Josh Jacobs, but he does give me that though. Even though Josh Jacobs still gotta get better at catching the ball at the backfield than Gold does, but still, I see the comparison there.
Yeah, I think Ingle, Fierce Raider says, you think Ingle can run with the ball too? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times on 4th and 1 does he give it to Ingle to get those, to get that conversion? So I definitely think that I don't think that he has the same vision that Josh Jacobs does, or Booker. I don't feel like he's got super, but if he's got a hole, I mean, the guy's going to blast through it and take off. You can see how well he can catch he can run a route and catch a pass, for short yardage. I really feel like he could definitely run the ball out of the backfield, probably more like on a sweep as opposed to going straight up the middle. That's just my opinion, though.
Absolutely. How long you guys have been Raiders fans? I think I've been saying this is the third and final. I think this is like the final time I'm gonna say it, because I even said it on what was that? I said it not too long ago. I said it on the live stream last night when I did Thursday Night Football. I wish most of the Raider Nation could have came in for Thursday Night Football, but I could understand why, because the 49ers was playing and we don't like the 49ers, but it was just Thursday Night Football. I just wanted to get that out there. But I've been a Raiders fan since 1999. Like I said, I lived on the West Coast at a young age, and my family over there in Oakland, which they still live in Oakland, has always been Raiders fans, even when they moved to LA and came to Oakland. And even now they moved to Vegas, they still been that way. And I grew up I was a few years there in Oakland. I say about 3 or 4 years in Oakland, and my family on the West Coast would not let me be no other fan than a Raider fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like my father is like, it's weird because my father's an Eagles fan. My mother's a Ravens and Seahawks fan, but you know how mothers are. They like to be bandwagons when it comes to teams. My brother is a 49ers fan. So it's just weird, but they don't really speak to my brother because he's 49ers. They don't really speak to my brother, but that's how I became a Raiders fan. But Jay, I think he's always been a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I've been a Raiders fan since I can remember. Bo Jackson was my favorite player growing up. So, it was what it was. I mean, I was also a big fan of Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. Living on the West Coast, those three guys were huge when I was, coming up real young. So it was either San Francisco or Oakland, and just the mystique and how cool the logo was. I mean, when you're a kid, you're not really that much into, how football works. So I don't know. That was just what appealed to me more over the 49ers. And so I was just an Oakland Raiders fan.
You might as well say I was born into it too, because at the fact that I lived in Oakland, I had to start to become a Raiders fan at a young age. That I really didn't know much about football. I didn't know much about football at a young age. So yeah, I had to be. If it wasn't Raiders, I couldn't be nothing else. Yeah, that's just how it rolled in my family.
Yeah,
you got things. JJ and Ruggs both have big games. I think Josh Jacobs will have a big game. If I think Henry Ruggs will have a big game too, if the run is established.
Yeah. Yeah, if the run is established, obviously Ruggs can burn, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to burn the defense pretty well. But we'll just have to wait and see.
So we've been on here for almost 2 hours, y'all.
Yes.
Friday night. And people, we have things to do. I know I have things to do before if I'm able to do the Raiders versus Chargers Madden game tonight. But I do have things to do because I got to get ready I have a gig tomorrow that I have to record for at this venue. So I have to get ready for that and get everything set up for that. So anything else before we head out?
No, man, just look out. Next week, I'm going to start a new series called Autumn Education. And so what that's going to be is I'm going to be going through the history of the Raiders. It'd be probably a good thing for Maria Lycon. Maria, you said you've been a fan for about 4 years already. I'm going to go all the way back to the very beginning, and I'm going to teach my daughter who's 6 months old Her middle name is Autumn, after the autumn wind, which I'll cover as well. And the whole idea behind that. But I'm going to do a series where I'm going to teach her all about the Raiders history and coming all the way up until today. So the first episode is going to be next week. It's going to be a whole series of episodes. So I'm going to release one each week. So just make sure that you, keep a lookout for that, as well as obviously Raider J Reaction Tuesday.
Yeah, so he got a lot of stuff, man. I could actually let me see here. So I'm gonna put the link. I'll put his link in the description again. Maria, I put his link in there if you see it. Absolutely, it's been fun, y'all. It's been fun doing this with y'all. I had Jake on here. Shout out to Jake for this is our channel. I mean, it's personally mine. It's personally my channel, but when it comes to these live streams, it's me and Jay's channel. So, because I started out this channel in 2016, and we just trying to grow and get him to grow on his personal channel. But when it comes to these live streams, it's us, man. It's you can't tell us anything. So,
Yep.
I'm sorry, loyal to the soil. I don't have a PS4. I am an Xbox guy. Sorry to tell you that. So, but I'm hungry, man. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat too. So thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure y'all go subscribe to My City, My Game featuring Raider J77. Y'all want to see that history? Make sure y'all go and subscribe. He will have his daughter on there too, talking about it. So y'all definitely, his daughter is adorable.
Thanks, man.
Sunshine. She's just so adorable, man. And
pretty cute.
Make sure y'all comment, like, and subscribe to the Snake Sports Talk Show. Comment, like, and subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network. Comment, like, and subscribe to My City, My Game. And comment, like, and subscribe to the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Thank y'all so much. We're going to leave y'all with a few videos here. Have a blessed night, and we'll see y'all Sunday at 4 p.m. my time, 1 p.m. his time.
Yep.
For the live play-by-play in reaction of the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. So we out of here. Peace, love, and happiness.
Peace.
We out.
What's up, fantasy champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now, with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network. Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line.